your boy. It's a beautiful day here in Southern California. Decided to hop on and chop it up with individuals. See what's the talk of the town is going down. Word on the curve, you heard me. On this, what's today? On this, oh man, it's Monday. Let me just set this up real quick. It's hot as fuck here in Southern California. It's hot, bro. It's one of those hot days. Now, for those who were curious, I did drop a new video on my other channel, a battle rap reaction. I just uploaded it, probably, about 15 minutes ago. Love you, baby. About 15 minutes ago. So you guys can check that out, right? It's a good battle reaction. Tag team. It's a tag team. Skillful individuals. Young bucks coming up in the game. Who said the youngsters can't rap? Shit, they got skills. They got skills for days. I'm actually surprised with all these. I'm actually surprised with the skills that these young rappers come with nowadays. Even though I do hear a lot of them that are, not I'm gonna say trash, but they got a lot of work to do. There's a lot of good ones in there as well. So I know that. I guess older people give them more of a harder time, right? But they got skills. It's just that they don't want to give them their dues. They don't want to give them their props. It's fucked up. But you know what? It's not only with rap, though. I noticed that happens with everything because I see even in basketball, you have the older players dissing the younger players. In football, same thing. In baseball, same thing. Shit, even in hockey now. And it's like, damn, bro. It's like these old people can't give these young bucks their dues, their credit. That's just crazy. I don't know. Carmelo came out with some shit too, but he sounded a little bit racist on his though, saying like, "Oh, Luka Doncic can't be the face of the NBA because he's not American," and that Jokic isn't the MVP, and I'm guessing because he's white. Because he's like the MVP should be someone like Edwards, and he started naming players, but it's like they're all black though, and he didn't name no like white players, and it's like he's like. Well, you can't compare. He's like, no disrespect. You can't compare the like white players to black players. And it's like, what? There's a lot of white players that are good, bro. Come on now, don't be ignorant. That's crazy. Because it would be if it would be said the other way around, it would be called racist and all this and that. But since Carmelo's black, people don't say nothing, and it's like I don't know, bro. That sounds awfully racist to me. What's cracking like Mr. Pasas de Felipe in the casa? Dashboard was good. About the. Eso es todo, camarada. We good. Had a busy Monday. Yeah, I feel you. It's a busy day for me as well. Question: are any of your grandparents or parents still alive? Yeah, both. Grandparents and parents. ¿Qué dice la vida loca? Pues ya sabes, carnal. Aquí nomás, rifando. Is it required to get tattoos before you join a Southside neighborhood? Also, why do gangs members get tattoos? When I was little, I thought the tattoos were only for. Also, why do get tattoos when only for? Oh, well, no, tattoos are not only for gaming, but now getting a tattoo before you join in the neighborhood. Now, maybe some gangs do work like that, right? But ours definitely does not. Right? You have to earn yours tattoo. As a matter of fact, if you get the neighborhood on you without earning it, there's going to be a lot of issues. You know what I mean? There's a lot of problems are going to come your way. You know what I mean? Shit, they might even cut it off. To be real with you, you got to earn yours. You got to earn your tats. But there's some that just, don't mind and they just give them away practically, right? Depending on the neighborhood. Because a lot of people do fake the funk, you see I'm telling you, like I had said before, you see individuals getting their face tattooed, their heads and everything like that. And they're rankers, weenies, cowards, They just do that to play the part, the facade. Yes, they go to that great length to play the role, Never put in no work. As a matter of fact, some of the most scariest individuals, Now, I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying I have seen a lot of them, fold. A lot of them. And then I seen individuals with no tattoos who were some of the most downest individuals I ever, seen and met in my life. So, tattoos don't mean shit. You get what I mean? And that's just 100. Like I said, the way you dress, the way you look, the way you talk doesn't make you the gang member. It's your mentality and your heart. That's what makes you a gang member, not your actual looks and hobbies and shit like that. What good is having an individual, all tattooed up and dressed all gangster if as soon as the enemies come, he's going to run or he's going to say nowhere? Then what good was all that, right? Now you might have an individual with pink shorts, a yellow shirt and sandals and a fucking ponytail, but if the enemy's coming, he's dumping on them and he's putting in work, then who's the real gangster and who's the one that's really down? You know? So all that other shit is just irrelevant, bro. You know what I mean? Don't be fooled by the gimmicks. And I'm telling you, that's just not me hating. I even had them from my own neighborhood, who have had tattoos all over who were not down. Well, they're no longer from the neighborhood, but you know. So it's not just like hating on other neighborhoods, but I have seen them even come from my side. So it's crazy what people will do, bro, just to try to play the part, play the role. Do you think Hulk Hogan is racist, even though he made the comment? Yeah, I think he's racist, bro. With Hulk Hogan, the way he has said certain things that he has said, right? With no doubt that in my mind that he does not like black people. You know what I mean? And he's so the way I don't know if it's the people he hangs around, but he has a stupid way of thinking, bro. And yet he's a Trump supporter. It's crazy. Like I said, I'm not. When people be like, Donald Trump's a good guy and everything like that, but isn't it strange that all the racist and racist groups are Trump supporters, though? His way of thinking resonates with them, and that's the part that I try to tell people, like, he displays bad behaviors and bad characteristics, because if he didn't, then if he doesn't, then why do all these individuals seem to agree with him, and love him so much? You know what I mean? Come on now. It's a trip. And I don't know, Trump's funny, man. He today the Dodgers went to the Oval Office or whatever, and he went to go, I guess congratulate them, right? The team, goes and he congratulates them. And he was, right there, and he was shouting out all, the people who are in his, in his like group, right? He was, shouting them all out, and there was other senators there that were Democrats, and he was like, and we have some other senators, but I'm not gonna mention them because, quite frankly, I don't like them. And it's like, you're a fucking child, bro. Like, what kind of shit is that, bro? You're the president? That's fucking embarrassing, bro. And people will be like, oh, we got no filters, telling it how it is. And it's like, bro, that's cool, being straightforward and being honest, yeah, I agree, right? But the thing is that he's not just anybody. He's the fucking president, bro. There's a time and place for things, right? That's just not one of them, bro. He's got to be professional. Now, how am I expecting to believe that this individual's looking to fix our economy, looking to fix the problems with our country, if this motherfucker's not even willing to fucking put his differences aside with these individuals that he actually has to work with in order to get that shit done? By him saying those comments, then clearly he doesn't want to work nothing out, and he's not trying to work anything out, so therefore nothing's going to get fucking fixed. You know what I mean? So he's not looking to fix America, bro, because he's not willing to put his pride to the side. You get what I'm saying? People don't see it from that point of view because they're ignorant as well, just because of how they feel about the other side. But it's just like, bro, just use your common sense, my guy. How are you planning to fix shit if you ain't even willing to work with the individuals you gotta fix shit with? Fucking goofballs. And like I said, We just mean work related because that's what that is. Their job, their work, right? No one's saying that they fucking have to be best friends and fucking go hang out all the time and fucking play golf together and shit like that, right? But don't be fucking acting like that so childish though. But I'm not gonna mention them in because quite frankly I don't like them. And he's like, well, it's true. And then everybody went like, some people gasped or whatever, and he was like, I didn't think it was that much of a big deal. And it's like, of course you don't think that's that much of a big deal, bro, because you don't give a fuck, homie. See how out of touch you are with reality, homie? That you're wondering like why people were offended by that. Like, what? What did I say? Like the fact that you can't see the problem already speaks a lot. It's a trip. And he likes Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan likes him. Hi, hello there. You can find me, St. Louis, rolling on dubs. Serio? That's right. What up, Angel? Do you think some street gangs wish to achieve mafia cartel status? Do you think it's possible for the street gangs to achieve that? Like, I don't think that they're striving to do that, right? As for like, I think that some could achieve that? I'm just not gonna dive into those topics of because that gets already going into discussions that I don't really have on here, with certain groups and stuff like that, right? So yeah, my bad. It isn't it optional for a homie to not get a tattoo? Oh no, you don't have to. You don't have to get the. It's not forced on you, right? Even if you put in work, like that doesn't mean that like now you have to get a tattoo. Now you the neighborhood will never force anything like that on you. You know what I mean? People get the tattoos because they want to get the tattoos, but nobody forces individuals to get a tattoo or that you have to. A lot of my homies don't have any tattoos. Just depends on the individuals. Do you live in Viennese territory or another neighborhood territory? No, it's another neighborhood. No, Viennese is over here in Boyle Heights. So the east side of Los Angeles, while I live in the south side of Los Angeles. What's considered like Huntington Park, Bell Gardens, Maywood, Bell, Cudahy, Huntington Park. That area, Linwood. That area. In like the heart of like 3 or 4 different gangs. So a lot of activity. Who do you think is better, Doves or Gunner? Is Doves still good stay? Who do I think is better? Well, no, neither individual's in good standings. As in, who do I think is better? I'm not a fan of neither individual, right? As for like better, I would say Gunner's more of a compulsive liar. He can't help but to lie. And Doves just is his ego. So I guess they have faults but different faults, right? Just depends, how people see it. But it's irrelevant either way, though. What up, Shadow? When are you doing your interview? I actually have several interviews on different channels. Roll Call State of State, Dusty Vision, Total Trucker, but a few. See, the thing is with me and the whole interview thing is that I don't see the purpose in the interview, right? Because one, I'm not gonna answer questions that I know shouldn't be said on the camera, right? And those are the questions that people want to know, right? They want to know all about the ins and outs of what will be happening, and that's just shit that I'm not gonna talk about. You know what I mean? Because we're not seeking validation, and we're not seeking, because all that information is not supposed to be meant to be heard by, people who have no right to be hearing about these kind of things, about what happens in these, in the neighborhood and shit like that, right? Of activities, you know? And it's glorification, even talking about like, oh yeah, I remember I knocked this food down and this food, you know what I mean? Like, I want to talk about some shit that's actually beneficial, something, outside of what people already consider the what to be expected, right? But that's the kind of shit that people don't like to hear, right? They rather hear the drama and all that bullshit. And it's like, wow, why do you care for that kind of information though? Don't worry about what my neighborhood be doing. And then you end up like Big U and all these individuals, and then they're like, what? Like, what? What happened? Come on now. Just think what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? People, I don't know, people are just seek status, I guess, on here on the internet. It's a trip. I just don't care for shit like that. I'm not trying to be seen as gangster and hard and tough and all that. You know what I mean? Fuck, what do I care for that shit for? I just Dub's channel yesterday, so I'm late to the game. Oh well, look, I never discredit anybody from supporting whoever they want to support, or me bad, like trying to get individuals to see it from my perspective. In my point of view, I just don't mess with their channels because of their overall character, right? Because Thunder lies all the damn time. His stories are just all fabrication because he wants to be seen as gangster, and Dubs lets his temper get the best of him. Where he lets his emotions take control of conversations. But that doesn't mean that I'm gonna tell people, yeah, you shouldn't watch them or don't watch them, or if you watch them, don't fuck with me. Get what I'm saying? People could watch and support whoever the fuck they want. I'm just merely sharing, my perspective, my point of view. So don't think that I'm trying to, persuade you not to go fuck with them. Because, I don't lose any sleep if people fuck with them or not. Right? I mean, sort of. I like to do research, but let's get the videos from the lifestyle. Always. Yeah, I feel you, bro. See, it's different about actually, knowing about gangs and why they do what they do in their mentals compared to wanting to know their criminal endeavors, right? Like, hey, but who be slanging? Hey, but who be pushing? You know what I mean? Because then those are topics that, like, and anything that has to do with incarceration, because anything that has to do with incarceration is ongoing. You know what I mean? Even if you talk about just your personal experiences, you have to talk about how it works and how everything, transpires, letting the CEOs know how these individuals move, right? Remember, everything incarceration is ongoing. That's why homies don't like when people talk about prison, bro, because now you're talking about some shit that could possibly affect them, and they don't give a fuck about you could go on the internet and talk about whatever the fuck you want. They don't care. They're only going to care as soon as it starts to affect them. Once it starts to affect them, then there's going to be problems and issues. You get what I mean? Once you now start fucking up their, what they got going on. That's why it's always encouraged for people not to talk about, what happens in there and shit like that, because it's nobody's business. Once you start rocking the bed of those individuals, then you're gonna have some problems, and it's not gonna be shit that's gonna be thrown on the internet. You're gonna be getting those that message, outside, in person. You know what I mean? Like, no, people can't. No one's saying you can't have channels talk about whatever you want to talk about, bro. But just don't talk about shit that it's gonna affect them. Like, oh yeah, man, I remember when I was in there, man, we would smuggle stuff. I smuggled this, and this is how we did it. And the CEOs are like, oh, so that's how they do it. Because they watch these channels. So then now they start, now next, homies get caught in there, like, damn, how did they find out how we was doing it? Well, some fucking idiot was on the internet talking about how he was, when he was in there and how he was doing it. Oh, really? Who's this guy? Come on now. That's why I'm not supposed to talk about the penitentiary, bro. That's what I mean. Like, so many years in the game, bro. Like, and it's like, do you guys just forget, or you guys just don't give a fuck? But anything for the views, huh? I guess. What do you think about regular people who get tattoos who didn't know it had meanings? Well, if they didn't know it didn't have any meanings, they didn't know it had any meanings, Um, that's not, that's nothing to them, right? Like, for example, let's say they get incarcerated and they have a tattoo that they didn't know had any meaning. Well, it's not like that regular civilian or person was planning to run with the group, right? It's different now. Let's say if you're trying to run with the group, right? And now you have those tattoos because now it's like you're trying to give off the impression like you're, somebody like that. But I'm assuming if you're a regular person, then you're gonna go to where, non-gang related folks and others, and you want no involvement with criminal endeavors and activities, right? It's almost like, to me, it's a trip. It's like people think like if they get incarcerated, like having to run with a gang, and it's like, well, you're telling me you're already planning to join a gang? Like, shit. I thought since you were a regular day foe, you guys would want to stay out of trouble and shit like that. But it kind of sounds like you guys are already going in there with the mentality like, like you guys are gonna, be rolling with the business and shit like that. Well, then makes me wonder. Well, ain't no wonder why you're in here. You're not really good at making good decisions. Because regular people shouldn't have to worry about shit like that, bro. About staying solid or G codes and all that, because they're not gang members. How should they care about shit like that for? They just mind their own. And if you mind your own, nobody's gonna mess with you. I'm telling you, like for all the people that fall out, they fall out for reasons. It's never just because, right? They fall out because they wanted to be those individuals. They wanted to be talked about. They wanted to be, they wanted to get some status to their name. They wanted to climb up the ladders, and so they dive into all of that, right? Then they no longer want to be, in that, or pushing that line no more. And then it's like, well, you should have thought of that before then. But no, you wanted to be that one. You wanted to be Mr. Gangster, the Don Juan, okay, so don't bitch now. They bring it upon themselves, bro. It's not like people are just fucking grabbing them and just throwing them in there, right? These fools are all fucking voluntarily, willingly, and just, trying to be that person. So then when shit goes, sideways, and then they come on the internet and they be like, yeah, man, they be backstabbing you, or, man, they got them. Tell them how it really is, bro. Tell the full story, bro. Tell them how you wanted to be that one. Tell them how it is. Tell them how you brought that shit upon yourself, bro. You know what I mean? And that's just the 100% truth, bro. Or you have like people that told and calling other people snitches, and it's like, bro, are you serious right now? Yeah, but if if you're not in that mix, you shouldn't have to worry about stuff like that, about tattoos and stuff like that, right? Because people will be able to tell that you're it'll be different if now you were trying to get in the mix. Like, someone, when I was living in the Good Empire, told me he had a homie in a gang from the area that requires members to get tats and show loyalty and commitment. Yeah, no, loyalty and commitment, you got to. That's Mando. You know what I mean? That part is true. The loyalty and commitment, yeah, that is true. You gotta be like, you can't be a ranker and and shit like that either. You know what I mean? That's what committed means. Like, look, the thing with these individuals, no one's giving these people orders. Like the Young Bucks, no one's going and telling the Young Bucks, hey, go do this, go do that. You get me? The Young Bucks do that shit willingly, bro. They already know what to do. They don't got to be told what to do. They already know what to do. They go and do it willingly. They do whatever the fuck they want to do. You know what I mean? They're not waiting around till somebody comes and be like, hey, fool, go cross them out over there. Go look for them. You know what I mean? They already go willingly, bro. You know what I mean? They're out there when they're out there and you see them doing it. Oh, you see how these OGs get the youngsters to do their dirty work? Bro, none of my older homies ever had to tell or told me anything. And when you're in the neighborhood, you're running around with people your age, you know? Like when we was going out there and you know, causing the havoc and everything, I was rolling around with all the homies were my age. We were all the same age. You know, the older homies hanged out with the older homies, and the mid 30, 20 guys hang out with the mid 30, 20 guys, and the youngsters hang out with the youngsters. You know, youngsters are getting jumped in by the other youngsters' age, and these are your homies, your crowd. You know, that's what you're putting in work with. That's what you're running around and, you know, like, hey, fool, let's go do this. You know, sometimes even the older homies be like, hey, nah, just chill. You're going to, you know, burn the spot right now, you know? And the youngsters are just trying to go and do some shit. Like, all right. Like, hey, fool, we'll go later. Once you finish doing what and then we'll go. And then the older homie will be like, yeah, after you guys do whatever the hell you know what I'm saying? And that's really how it goes. But the news and all that makes it seem like the older guys are coming and forcing these kids to go and do shit. Like, bro, that's not how it goes, bro. Ain't nobody standing around and waiting to fucking somebody come and tell you anything. People don't gotta tell you what to do. That's what I mean, though, bro. These people are fucking shit up because they want to fuck shit up. You know, especially if they're having a bad day. We should already let you know they don't know how to control the situations they're in. You know, they don't know how to, you know, deal with their problems. That's why they lash out, because it makes them feel better. That's the only way that they know how to satisfy their frustrations. Because violence was the only way that they ever knew, right? You always fix problems by, you know, violence. You know, they learned it from, you know, their parents, right? If they did something wrong or somebody did something wrong, then the dad will go or the mom would go and, you know, fix the problem with violence, right? You know, beating them or talking shit, right? So then these individuals grow up thinking that that's the way to fix problems. So anytime they're out there and, you know, people get on their nerves or whatever, how do they fix the problem? By the way that they know how. By the way that they were shown their whole entire lives. You take flight. You know, that's how kids learn. You know how to, you know, write and talk and, you know. So then when people be like, oh, nah, give them a good ass whooping, bro. Like, they'll learn. Yeah, they'll learn. They'll learn a whole lot of shit they're not supposed to be learning. And like I said, then it fucks with their way of thinking. Growing up, they're watching cartoons and all these shows, right? You see the movies, the families, you know, are all loving and you know, and showing affection and all that. And you know how the movies get down in the cartoons and all that, right? Because that's what you do when your family and your loved ones, right? You show them love and, you know, how to fix problems. Now, they also grow up seeing that you only hit people and talk shit to people you don't like. You know what I mean? They see it, like I said, in cartoons and movies and all that. So you take that kind of action on people you dislike. So now these kids are getting beat or they're talking shit to them. What are they supposed to think? Especially if you're not showing them no affection. They're going to think that you don't care for them. You don't like them. They're the problem. You know? And this, like I said, it's psychologically, you're messing with the kid's way of thinking. You know? Because how hard is it actually to fix the problem by sitting down and actually talking to the kid and getting to the bottom of the problem? Because what are you going to get out of yelling and beating them, bro? You're trying to fix some shit. Imagine, bro, you're screaming at the top of your lungs and calling him a fucking idiot because he spilled the Kool-Aid. Imagine when he really has some problems, you think he's going to come and talk to you and want to talk to you about fixing his problems? He's going to be terrified. He's going to think you're going to want to kill him. He's never going to go with you with his problems. Right? He'll try to fix them himself. And what happens when kids try to fix the problems themselves? They get worse. Right? Then they don't know what to do. Because they feel like they can't go and talk to you, obviously. Right? Like, that's for sure not even an option. He's like, oh, well, why couldn't they come to me with fun? I'm like, well, look at the way you always fucking react to everything, bro. Come on now. And I have seen that, several, even with my own homies, right? The kids running around, we're chilling, whatever. They'll knock his beer down. Hey, man, what the fuck? And it's like, bro, chill. You acting like he meant to go and fucking knock your beer down, bro. It was a fucking accident. Relax, homie. He's like, nah, but I already told them. And it's like, fool, he's a child, homie. Just chill. He's like, oh, all right, you're right. Like, no mames, güey. Casas de verga. But most people don't have individuals there to tell them, most people just go along with it. Like, you see, you guys go play over there. Fucking know you fucking shit up. Like, yeah, because they're trying to do that, right? Like, you have adults that think so childish, bro. It's like they have no sense of fucking. They have no common sense, right? It's a trip, for a trip. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my lunch break is over. We got to get back to it. It was good chopping it up with you guys, and we out.